Can I record also, Ken?
Yes, I'll get that set up
Thank
for
you.
you. YouTube is just 2 more seconds. YouTube is live. The meeting is yours, Mr. Chair. Let me know if you need anything.
Thank you very much. Mr. Gotts, I will go ahead and run through the
Yeah, that's fine.
agenda today. Welcome everyone to our regularly scheduled Commerce Township Downtown Development Authority meeting for Tuesday, November 17th. Calling the meeting to order. Item 1, I would like approval of the minutes dated Tuesday, October 20th, 2020, the regularly scheduled meeting. Remember, we do need
approval of the minutes of October 20th.
Support.
That was Dan Lublin with Gotts supporting. Do I have any discussion on the minutes? Hearing none. Deb, will you do a roll call vote?
Yes. Lublin,
Yes.
Gotts,
Aye.
Nada,
Aye.
Winkler,
Aye.
Merkin, Jose, you're muted.
Aye.
Thank you. Scott,
Aye.
Smith,
Good. Yes.
thank you. Spelker,
Aye.
Hoy,
Aye.
motion carried unanimously.
Thank you. Moving to item 2, public comments. I'll turn this back over to you, Ken. Do we have any public on the line that would like to rate or that would like to make a comment?
Again, this announcement to any members of the general public that would like to speak, please press *9 on your keypad to raise your hand. And that will alert us that you would like to speak. Okay, caller with the last 4 digits of 9408. Please press *6 to unmute and then go ahead and state your name and address for the record. Go ahead, caller.
Good afternoon, Larry Gray, address 2115 Glen Iris Court. I just wanted to let everybody know that I'm on the call. I apologize I did not make the Zoom meeting, but I'm here to listen to the call. I'm looking forward to working with everybody in the near future. I do have my township email up and running. If you folks need to get a hold of me, it's lgray@commercetownship.com. And my cell phone number is 248-361-9408 if you need to get a hold of me. But once again, I look forward to working with all of you guys in the near future. Thank you so much.
Thanks for joining today, Larry. We look forward to meeting with you too and working together. Do we have any other public comments?
I see no other hands raised at this time, Mr. Chair.
With that being said, I'll close the public comments section of today's agenda. Item 3, this is our DDA informational meeting. As you may remember, according to the new DDA regulations, we have to have 2 informational meetings. We had one in the spring. This will be our second for 2020. We have invited all taxing authorities to participate. They were notified by mail. We do not have any on the call today, although they were given the information to join. But we will. This will count as our informational meeting. We're going to go through it. So let's start off with our Insight commercial report. Randy Thomas, bring us up to date on what's going on with the properties.
All right, thanks, Mark. I'm going to just briefly go through here, I guess, highlight more of, what's happening versus some of the old things. So first, be parcels A&H, the Shapiro development. Construction's well underway. They are going to be delivering the first units in December. They've spent, you can tell they've done a lot of work with landscaping at the front entrance to both Welch and Martin Parkway. So that project's well underway. And when I talked to Jim, they're going to be delivering basically 1 building a month, and they'll be fully occupied by first quarter of next year. what the estimate is.
For any of you who happen to get a chance, please drive through that development, maybe on like a Sunday. The landscaping looks absolutely stunning. He's got buildings completely done. In speaking with Derek, the construction foreman, he said, they're ready to move people in. So they just want to make sure they have the right mix of 2 stories, single ranches before they start delivering, because their key concern is to have someone come in the door with their checkbook wanting to move in and have to tell them, we don't have a ranch done, but we've got a 2-story. And then they lose the potential tenant. So if you get a chance, go in there and take a look at it. I do know also that they are getting ready to work on the main entry feature at the Pontiac Trail roundabout. That is moving forward also. So we'll start seeing that cleaned up and looking better. Thank you, Randy. Go ahead.
Well, Randy, we've had some incidents of vandalism on the site. Is that correct?
As far as signs go, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have hit Barrington sign, that main one that was at the main roundabout. They took down twice. They've obviously destroyed Randy's signage, and the Aikens downtown signage was also stolen from the property. We did do cameras. We're unable to pick up any pictures of the most recent vandalism on that, but the police department is of course aware of it and keeping an eye out on it for us.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, I'll continue on. So the Aikens development, I talked to Bruce 2 weeks ago. He still fully intends on completing the loop road and delivering the outlots. His anticipation is that's going to happen next year. He has a deal with Shapiro on acreage for apartments. They told me that they plan on being in front of the Planning Commission. Dave, correct me if I'm wrong. I think it's going to be in the January meeting.
I would love to hear from them if that's their intent, Randy.
Yeah, I just know that they've got, they're developing the plan. So you'll probably be getting a phone call from Jim as a pre-meeting, but that was kind of the timeline that they had told me. So
yeah, I've had lots I've had lots of casual conversations with Mr. Galbraith about that. I don't know that we've ever zeroed in on a target date, but if it's January, I should be talking to him soon about it.
Yeah, I'll follow up and just to make sure, Dave. But the first buildings to go vertical will be those apartments. It's going to be different than what he's building across the street. This is going to integrate more with what Bruce is developing. I can tell you, also from Bruce that, a lot of these tenants that are in the malls want to get out of the malls. And he's got, what he's proposing and is doing is what these tenants are looking for. So he's had, more outreach from some of these mall tenants than him calling. He's talked to him back and forth, but they seem that I think it's imminent that you're going to see a big change of what happens within the malls. Let's see, phase 2. That's the 14 acres north of phase 1. Right now he's got until October 31st of next year to exercise that option. I have not, nor have we discussed any plans on that piece. B2 would be the Granger project. Nothing new from last month's report. Parcel C. Actually, it did in the last couple of days. I have been talking with a senior group that we have brought the board up to speed before. It's a group called Avenida based out of Chicago. And they were looking at it quite hard beforehand, kind of got cold and then have come back. So they're looking at a couple aspects within the project area, but they seem to be honing in on parcel C at the moment. We've also had 2 developers that had inquired before. They're asking what's going on with Bruce's project. I think they're tracking before they make any commitment. Again, the gas station guys don't stop calling. Parcel D&E, that's Merrill Park, nothing to report. Parcel F, that is the acreage right in front of the town hall. You never heard back from the medical users, and really quite nothing happened this past month. Parcel G, that's Hunter Pasture, nothing to report. Parcel I would be Gilden Woods, nothing to report. Parcel J1, that's the hard corner of Oakley and Haggerty. Had increase in activity, but nothing other than just people calling and asking questions to report back to you. J2 would be the North Point development, nothing to report. Parcel K, we had a meeting about 3 weeks ago with Dave Campbell, Mark Stacy, and the developers who are out of Atlanta, looking to do a, well, at least what we've told them, it's got to be really, really high end on that would encumber Parcel K and the acreage that would surround it to the south and to the east for a self-storage. They showed us various different buildings that they've done. They did one in Buckhead, which is in the Atlanta market. It looked nothing like, a storage. It looked like a high-end, office type building. So during that meeting, we communicated to them that they are going to come back and do a conceptual site plan review with in front of planning. And we communicated to them that, in order for it to even get any traction, that building's got to look really, really nice. So I've had a couple of conversations with them. They have sent us a letter of intent. We're going to wait till he gets through the conceptual site plan review before we respond back.
Randy, would you talk about the ingress and egress on that piece of property?
Yeah, if you really study that intersection and you take a look at the parcels as you go from the roundabout to the east on the south side of the road, where the DDA's property is, that's the first curb cut, and you're only going to get a right in and right out. It's a very, very tough piece to access. So if you're coming and you want to get to the piece from, if you're going westbound, literally you got to go through the roundabout and circle back, to get in there. So not ideal ingress, egress, for any typical retailers, just by it, its inherent design so close to the roundabout. The developers find, they think they generate an average of, I think they said to us 7 to 9 trips, daily trips. So it's not a high impact ingress egress point on what they're proposing and doing. But if you had a restaurant there, or you had, some sort of, busy type of user, like a restaurant or something, it's a tough piece of property to access.
I think we had hoped to see an office medical or something along those lines to generate more bodies for downtown. However, once it was explained to us or to me, the ingress egress issue, it certainly is something that becomes more viable. Susan Spelker, you had pointed out we needed to take a close look at this, and we are. You're smiling. If they can pull off a Buckhead type of building, that works. If they wanted to pull off, the old style, that's not going to work, and they know it. We had a very good meeting with them. They were open to putting together their conceptuals. In addition, we brought up the rails to trails issue. That piece of property comes very close to being able to hook up to the new bridge and trail system. And they are also very open to putting an easement through with that. Now, whether we can get all the way back there, we're not sure. There might be some MDOT property we'd have to deal with. But to have a user that sees the value in that, not only from their business side, they like having people come by and say, oh yeah, that's where I want to store my stuff. but sees the value for the community, I thought was a huge positive also. So with that said, I'll flip it back to you, Randy.
Yeah, and I anticipate that they'll be in front of the Planning Commission at the December meeting. So hopefully we'll have something to report to the board on what direction this is going at the next meeting. Parcel L, told you last month that we have, we'd been working with Goddard Schools. We got to the point where we've got a purchase agreement pretty close, for purchaser's execution. Then I mentioned last month that corporate, it had put it on hold because of another site that's being built, and they wanted to make sure they weren't cannibalizing. She called me last week and told me that she's got a meeting set up with corporate. She's fighting for the site. I know she likes the site because, she's continuing to work on it. So hopefully that goes well. And then, we're at a point, we're really close to a point where we've got a deal signed with Goddard Schools. I have reached out to other users in the category once we got that, and I'm still waiting to hear back if any of the other parties are interested. And the last two are going to be the outlets that the DDA is retaining within the 5 and main development. I don't have any because we're really not actively marketing those, but once that ring road goes in, I would suspect that we're going to get increased activity. That's my story. So if anybody has any questions.
Thank you, Randy. Does anyone have any questions for Randy today? Hearing none, we'll move on. We're going to talk next about the asset and liability report. This was included in your packet and is available for the informational meeting. Of course, we have listed all assets of the DDA, cash, taxes, land held for resale, our debt liabilities, and fund balances. You see that we are in a negative position. Of course, we have significant debt above and beyond our cash balances. We knew that. It is based on selling land and future tax collections. To add to this, during the last town board meeting that I was at, we were requested to rerun our projections for cash flow needed from the township board. Molly and I met with our contact, Keith Szymanski at Plant Moran, and worked on some scenarios of what could happen with the property. We're finishing that up and we'll be presenting back to the township board, and I will be bringing that back to you. But suffice to say, between the DDA cash flow, the township board making contributions as expected, and potentially extending the time period where we're able to sell land, because we had projected significant sales next year, closing on phase 2, and being further ahead than we were going to be. Even with all those factors taken into consideration, I think the numbers came out pretty good. When we first started this project, Molly said something along the lines of, "Oh, this is not looking good," and by the end she was smiling. So the reality is, yep, we're in a very similar position as last time, even if we have to stretch out land sales, and the township will be able to continue funding the DDA through 2034, at which point we will then start paying back the township for the indebtedness, and everyone will enjoy the fruits of our labor. With that being said, that will be talked about, I'm hoping, the next meeting, if not in January. That is our asset and liability report. What I would like to do is open up for any questions that you may have under the DDA informational meeting. Hearing none, I'm going to close up the informational meeting, and that satisfies our requirement for 2 per year. Thank you for getting that done. We will be moving on to the director's report. Obviously, Randy just brought us up to date on the developers' intentions. Again, Barrington, if you get a chance, drive through that. The lights over at Merrill Park, the Christmas lights look absolutely fantastic. Remember, you authorized us to turn them on early at the last meeting, and I have heard nothing but positive responses. So if you get a chance, drive over that way too. Our HOA 2021 budget has been sent out to all the separate directors. We have received back signed consent agreements from everyone except Wincliffe and Granger. So we're ahead of schedule on that. All dues are current and paid in full. All tax forms have been submitted. Lighting, we did execute our order for new light poles, approximately $20,000 worth. I think you have seen the bill for half of that. We do have to pay for half up front. Expected delivery time in January. We did have we have two light pole issues that we're dealing with. One is we're waiting for payments from the one that was taken down at Township Drive, but that has worked through the court system, and we are expecting to receive reimbursement from the driver. On the second, we just lost a light pole on November 7th at the roundabout north of Township Drive at Oakley Park. That driver, there was a police report made, so we do have a name. It is our understanding that she is uninsured, so that is a problem. We will utilize the courts to, again, get a judgment for payment and work with them to receive back as much as possible for that. We have that light pole cleaned up and it is currently secured. Landscaping is done for the season. Russo has finished up with everything he needs to do. The irrigation is again shut off for the season. Outrun Hunger. We had the event this past weekend. Not sure that I saw any of you there, but we did have some township trustees there. The event was a success, even with COVID. Everything was done outside, socially distanced with masks on. 249 racers registered, 51 volunteers, 113 donors gave rather than running. They just made donations, raising a record $22,189 for Hospitality House and Commerce and Open Door Outreach, which is up in Union Lake / Waterford. This money is dedicated to feeding individuals during the Thanksgiving, Christmas time season. It should provide meals for approximately 1,109 families. This was our 10th year of the Outrun Hunger event. We're well over, I think we're on our way to 150,000 that we've raised. It has become a meaningful annual event for Commerce Township residents and the Lakes community. As a matter of fact, I got a text from my daughter saying that I made her Facebook chain of people that she knows who ran in the race. And so we must be doing something right if the kids are having fun coming up and doing this. Thank you for all your support. I want to say thank you for the township support on this. This was the craziest year with COVID. We pulled it off. Everybody had a good time. We raised a bunch of money to feed people. So Outrun Hunger is done for this year. Let's see. Continuing on to a less positive subject, the graffiti under the bridge. We did have power washers come out. They spent hours with chemicals. It came out terrible. Finally said, okay, stop. I think we're making this worse. What's our next solution? They said, and in looking at it, they said, well, what you really need to do is paint over this with anti-graffiti paint. And then the next time when we clean it up, it will be significantly easier and come out better. I believe, Deb, we included the, did we include the quote for that in the packet or no?
No, I believe you said you were just going to mention it, but it was $17,000, including the materials and labor.
Now, this is just one estimate. It's the graffiti paint that is so expensive. I want to say I remember Mark and Maintenance telling me it was like $250 a gallon. And there is a lot of surface area to paint under that. We're not making a recommendation at all right now. The weather's changed. This isn't going to happen until spring, but we're going to have to do something to clean it up. And that may be the ultimate solution once we get the graffiti issue under control. In looking at it, the secondary solution may be instead of trying to keep it clean, we embrace graffiti. If we were to go to the schools and work with Jose, maybe get in the school art students, we supply the paint, and we know that it's graffiti that does not have a obscene connotation. Then I think that might be something that would be fun. Not sure if it's something we can pull off. I'll have to talk with the other members of the HOA, but it may be very similar to what you see in downtown Detroit or Ann Arbor. There are two different examples where they let the graffiti artists decorate the area. So maybe we're approaching it from that side instead of saying we want to keep it clean and cement looking.
I think I had mentioned a long time ago, Mark, that
Yep.
instead of trying to keep it cement and sterile, that we embrace the artistic side of this and encourage some creativity and let the community get involved. Not exactly sure how to pull it off either, but I'm thinking that Jose might have some resources. And I think that it might turn out to be something that, you know, people really stop and look at, a little point of interest on their walk.
Mark, let me ask a question here. Is there power access in the general proximity of where this vandalism is occurring? And if so, can we look towards some sort of video monitoring of the situation so that we could actually make more of an impact and make the perpetrators and their families totally responsible?
Yeah, and I think that whether we do a graffiti overlay or we clean it back up, you're going to have to do video monitoring.
Mark, this is Jose. Working with the art teachers of Wall Lake schools is a great idea, because instead of spending $17,000 to clean up and wait for another vandalism to happen, maybe we can do what you suggested happen in Detroit, in Ann Arbor, in Chicago. They use those walls to do art. So we should be, I will contact the art teachers. I have the emails. They are not having personal meetings, but I'm going to contact the art teachers through emails and see what they think about it. I think it's a great idea. And I agree with Susan. It's much cheaper to put art or even posters and cover that graffiti, you know?
Yeah, I think that if we go that route, we still need some type of security system, because you're going to have people then come back in and spray paint over the graffiti with language or images that are inappropriate. That's obviously,
I'm sorry.
but go ahead, Susan.
Potentially, you know, you wind up with something that might be attractive and interesting and fun for people, but you still haven't solved the original problem, which is the vandalism. So naturally, we're going to have to examine something as far as like a video system or something like that. And we may very well have to assume that even the artwork is not going to be sacred and it's going to have to be redone. So as we develop this plan, we might want to think about something where this is perhaps some kind of a contest in nature, so that the artist knows that this work is going to be painted over by the next person who is deemed a good person to paint this area. And we can maybe thwart the surprise that, oh boy, it's vandalized again, by already planning that on some sort of regular basis that these walls are going to continue to get painted over, if that makes any kind of sense. Yeah, I'm throwing out an idea. I don't obviously have it refined in my head, but I can see something like that working where we know that we're going to continually repaint it.
Yep. And that may very well be a way to deal with it. To deal with Jim Gotts's question about security cameras, obviously that was an issue that Deb spent a lot of time on over the last month. We went out to Sonatrol, which is the security provider at the township. We have talked to Comcast about providing internet security services for under the tunnel, and looked at different ways of securing that area. It's not as easy as putting up, a Ring doorbell camera, we found out. First of all, our electrical service to that is not 110, which is what everything runs off of. It is a commercial grade 227 or something. And I have learned more about that than I knew. So we have to do some step downs for that to get it to 110. If we were to go to an internet connection out there, Comcast costs somewhere in the neighborhood of $7,000 just to bring the wire from the box to the tunnel, because we have no internet currently. And then that would allow us to put a hotspot out there. We also have looked at doing a T-Mobile hotspot with a hookup through the telephone service. That may be significantly cheaper. But you would generate your cameras, sending pictures through T-Mobile. I'm sure we could do that through Verizon or anyone also, for probably a better value, assuming that we only need one hookup rather than four, because I think we need 4 cameras, 2 on each side, 2 at each end. So we are exploring those options. We don't have an answer yet.
Mark, in regard to that, I think it might be beneficial to examine the utilization of trail cams, commonly used in hunting things, and get some kind of signal on it, some way to closet it, hide it, other than the lens.
We already had trail cams out there. It didn't work. The ambient lighting was not enough. We didn't pick up any good pictures. We have had the police patrolling it and doing extra special things to catch those individuals. So they're involved. Cameras have already been involved trying to do what we can. But obviously, we can't ask a police officer to sit there 24/7. With that being said, I think we're closer to the solution today than we were at the last meeting. And I think it's probably going to revolve around utilizing the cameras with the cell phone hookups is going to be the most cost-efficient way to do that.
On the subject of security, I think that getting together with the schools and the art teachers and having the young people participate in this will also improve the security issue, because unless I'm mistaken, and Dave Scott, please correct me if I'm wrong, most of these graffiti things are done by young people, that type of vandalism. Is that right?
Actually, all of the people that have been arrested in Commerce Township have ranged in age, all of which are adults. An adult being 17 years of age or older that prosecuted by the courts.
Okay.
They've been 17 to 44. The most recent arrest here with this DDA property was a 44-year-old man on parole, just out of prison. It's not kids.
He was the last one who did it all last year.
Yep.
Is he atypical though?
Yeah, these are all adults. We aren't seeing any children with a can of spray paint going out and doing Pokemon. These are all adults.
Okay, well, I'm thinking that if the age range tends to be closer to the teenage population, then the teenage population will do some policing of their own.
Yeah.
And it might be a lot less expensive to offer a reward system of some kind.
And Dave, Dave Scott, I think we had talked about doing a reward through one of the tip services. Is that correct or no?
And we always have the award system that's set up through Crime Stoppers. It has served us well with Scarlet Smile Playground. The oddity when it comes to this site, the vast majority of walkers are coming from points off of the DDA, if you will, to get here and utilize 6 miles of trails and things of that nature. So, great example, the 44-year-old, he came from a long ways away. He's not a guy that lived in Windcliff or Merrill Park or anything of that nature. He didn't even live in this portion of Michigan. So there's some magnet that draws them here. I don't know what it is.
Thank you. We will keep you up to date. We're going to do some more research before the next meeting, and hopefully we will have solutions to offer. With that being said, I'd like to move on to item 5, the attorney's report. Tom Roush.
Thank you, Mark. As I said last month, the month before, I guess since March, things have quieted down dramatically. I think that we're seeing a little fatigue here as well as the pandemic. But so things have been continued quiet. I'm following with Randy the projects that may require some activity, such as Goddard School, where we're ready to sign an agreement, but the franchisor is not interested in, or is not approving it as yet. And Mark and Dave Campbell working with the possibility of the self-storage at the southeast corner of M5 and Pontiac Trail. That hasn't gone beyond the very preliminary stage. So we continue to be available and haven't done a whole lot, frankly.
Any questions for Tom? Thank you. With that being said, we'll move on to the engineering report. Matt Schwanitz.
Like last month, pretty much the same thing Tom said. We've just been assisting with some information requests on various deals, but it's extremely quiet. And I might add, consider us blessed right now. The Brighton DDA meeting this morning, which I wasn't on, but we had a crew got bombed with 20 or 30 intrudees, and it was bad. They have no idea how they got in.
Yes, we will.
Using Merck Live.
Yeah.
Matt has also put us in contact with SME for the environmental issues. We have retained SME to be backbenching, waiting for that issue. In addition, we did retain Mark Jacobs from Honigman for legal counsel for environmental.
Mark Jacobs is at Dykema, not Honigman.
Dykema. I'm sorry. I got the name right and I got the law firm wrong. But that issue is still percolating, and I'll keep you up to date on that. Let's see. Matt, any questions for Matt? All right. Planning Director's report. Dave Campbell.
The probably most significant project in the DDA area that's being proposed right now is Pulte wants to do 103 townhomes across the street from Township Hall on the property that used to be the driving range. They would tear down the existing office building and redevelop that whole site with the attached townhomes. They are proposing a conditional rezoning in order to be able to do it. That conditional rezoning went in front of the Planning Commission last week, Monday, for a public hearing. The Planning Commission unanimously recommended approval of it. The proposal is going to be on the Township Board's agenda for this evening for their consideration of approving the rezoning. If they do get it, they have to come back in front of the Planning Commission for approval of their site plan, where one of the things that I know the Planning Commission is going to want to see some upgrades on is some of the building materials that they're proposing for these townhome units. The materials, the design, things like the garage doors, they want to see some upgrades with the garage doors, all of which Pulte says they're willing to do. So we'll see what the board thinks of it this evening. The 84 lumber is another project in the DDA that they want to get on the Planning Commission's agenda for January. They've got their conditional rezoning approved. They still have to come back to the Planning Commission with a site plan. And we covered the M5 self-storage concept that will be on the Planning Commission's agenda for a conceptual discussion at the meeting on December 7th. And the other thing I wanted to mention is on the M5 bridge, I'm guessing anyone who's traveled on M5 recently has noticed that they are taking down the blue wave panels on the bridge. As I've mentioned before, those panels are going to go to a shop someplace where they're going to get cleaned up, sandblasted, galvanized, which galvanizing is a step that was missed initially and is why those panels are rusting and have to be redone. The blue powder coat will be reapplied, and then those panels will be reinstalled in spring of 21. So as I've mentioned more than a few times, we're obviously very disappointed that the panels rusted the way they did, but we're glad that it is being repaired, and it's being repaired on the contractor's dime. That's all I had to bring up, unless somebody's got any questions for me.
Thank you, Mr. Campbell. We'll move on to the committee reports. Finance Committee, you'll note that I have not requested the approval of the 2021 DDA budget yet. That is going to Township Board tonight for their budget approval. Once theirs is approved, it comes back to ours, so we will be doing that in the December meeting. So that's not a problem, just got moved out based on their time frame. In addition, we're hoping to have those projections done, so we will talk about that next month. Any questions for Finance Committee? All right, Public Relations, Jose?
Well, as I said during our previous meeting, I am in contact with the Detroit Institute of Arts to coordinate the possibility of doing the Inside Out program in Commerce Township in 2021. Now, based on your comments, Mark, and Susan's comments, I will start preliminary talks with the art teachers of Wall Lake schools through emails to see how do they feel about a contest sponsored by the DDA to cover all the graffiti with art. I think that we can do a lot of better things with $17,000 than repainting or taking the graffiti and knowing that if we don't put cameras, this is going to happen over and over. So I'm going to pursue that idea, Mark and Susan. And I don't have any other comments. The PRC, the Public Relations Committee, doesn't have anything else to report.
Thank you, Jose.
Thank you. With that being said, Dave Smith, Marketing Committee.
Good afternoon, everybody. As usual, Randy very eloquently stated all the aspects of land development and the township. Just a couple of comments. The sign or the bridge, the Commerce Township Bridge with the rust on it, that seems to have sparked quite a hot topic on the Facebook community locally, which I'm glad that's being taken care of. And then I like the idea of the painting of the tunnel, you know, by local artists. The only thing that I would add to that is that there might be some sort of approval process for whatever someone might want to put in, so we can make sure that whatever was painted in there would be probably more politically correct that's in there now. Other than that, I have no other comments.
Thank you, sir. With that, I'll move on to item 9, approval of warrants, carryovers, add-ons, revenue and expenditure report.
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Jim.
Second.
I think I heard Jose second that. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Deb, will you do, or any questions? Deb, will you do a roll call vote?
Yes, Gotts,
Aye.
Merkin,
Aye.
Hoy,
Aye.
Spelker,
Aye.
Smith,
Yes.
Scott,
Aye.
Lublin,
Yes.
Winkler,
Aye.
Thank you. Matta?
Aye.
Motion carried unanimously.
Thank you. We're going to move on to other matters. I'd like to start off with this. As you know, this is Dave Scott's last meeting, and he's been a wonderful addition to the DDA board. So I'd like Brian Winkler to give me like 20 seconds to walk down to Dave's office and go ahead and start talking.
Well, I'd like to thank Jim and as well as Deb for the honor of doing this. I've been asked to read a resolution in regard to Dave Scott's work with the DDA. Whereas David Scott is hereby recognized for 4 years of dedicated service as the esteemed supervisor of the Charter Township of Commerce and as an active member of the Downtown Development Authority, for his support and endorsement of all DDA projects and endeavors. And whereas David Scott has shown superior leadership skills with a diligent focus on expanding emergency services, increasing staff, and planning new stations for the fire and sheriff's departments to accommodate the increasing population and new developments in the DDA area and throughout the township, ensuring the safety and security of all residents. And whereas throughout his career as a former Oakland County Sheriff and former U.S. Army law enforcement officer in Iraq, Dave Scott has proved himself to be a devoted investigator, committed to serving justice and coordinating apprehension of criminals. His expertise has benefited the community immensely, and as a result, Commerce Township was named the 2020 safest community in Michigan with a population of more than 25,000 residents.
Oh.
And whereas David Scott has carried the torch as supervisor to the township, working diligently, identifying issues, facing adversity with perseverance, reinforcing existing partnerships, developing new alliances, determining viable routes to pursue, taking swift action to implement solutions, and providing continuity by supporting his successor as he passes the torch. And whereas David Scott, through his vast knowledge, insightful updates, and delightful stories, has kept everyone informed and involved, and has led with dignity, wisdom, and charisma, promoting equality and earning respect and admiration for his ability to effectuate change, set clear objectives, and accomplish the goals of the DDA and the township, including studying traffic patterns, coordinating road improvements, securing funding, preserving amenities, supporting enhancements to the Michigan Airline Trail, furthering public safety and transportation, and providing meaningful coordination efforts through his speeches and active roles at the federal, state, county, and local levels of government. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Charter Township of Commerce Downtown Development Authority board members do hereby extend to David Scott our sincere and grateful appreciation for his dedicated service to the Charter Township of Commerce and our best wishes for his continued success, happiness, and good health in the years to come. This resolution adopted at the regular meeting of the DDA this 17th day of November 2020.
Bravo.
Thank you from all of us, David.
I am honored to
Thank you,
accept.
Dave.
It was a pleasure. Pay attention, Clerk Creech and Mr. Campbell, Director of Planning. You could learn from this. Thank you. I'm honored to serve Commerce Township. I am honored to help as a citizen. I am honored to help Larry as he moves into these seats. to assist you as well. My phone number isn't changing. I'll send out an email to you all. It has been an honor to meet, to serve with you, and to meet the challenges that the township has. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
David.
Thank you, Dave.
Thank you. Any other matters to come up today?
Mark, could I make a brief statement,
Sure.
if I may? On the Monday before the election, as well as the day of the election, I actually worked the election as a absentee vote processor and tabulator. And I know that most people already know this, but Commerce Township residents and others are really fortunate to have the clerk's office that we have. They are such hardworking people, and coupled with the great people that work the election, we are really fortunate to have a clerk's office under Missy's direction working this election. I've never seen such a hardworking group of people. Thank you, Missy.
Thanks, Brian.
Yeah, thanks very much.
Nice job.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Anything else under other matters?
I have one more here.
Yes, Dan.
Because of COVID, musicians have not been able to perform. And now that the bars and restaurants are being shut down again, these poor people don't have jobs for the most part. But we have been, for the community, live streaming every single concert. We're doing one every single week. And tomorrow night is Chris Collins and the Cliff Monier Trio playing the music of Vince Guaraldi. If you don't know who that is, he wrote all the music for the Peanuts cartoons. You'll recognize, 70% of them, and Chris is head of the jazz department at Wayne State University. So, and we have a little line. You can make a little donation to the musicians if you want. But honestly, most of these musicians, including the one that's live streaming here right now, you might be able to hear it a little bit, is actually, most of them are tripping over each other to perform here just for the opportunity to play. And these are world-class pros. So if you do, go to Steinway Detroit, tune in and listen to some great music, 7 o'clock tomorrow night.
Thank you, Tim. Anything else under other matters? Hearing nothing, I'd like to wish everyone a wonderful Thanksgiving. Stay safe. And with that, I'd like to close the meeting. I think we need someone to make a motion for.
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you. And a second.
Second.
Deb, would you take a roll call vote?
Yes, Gotts,
Aye.
Hoy,
Aye.
Spelker,
Aye.
Smith,
Aye.
Scott.
I'm going to say no. I don't want it to end.
We'll wait on you then. Lublin,
Yes.
Merkin,
Aye.
Winkler,
Aye.
Nada.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time today.
Thanksgiving, everybody.
Thanks, everyone. That's
Happy
beautiful.
Have a good one all.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Everyone.
Yeah, happy Thanksgiving to everybody.
Thank you.